Dark cloud over Brennan intensifies as Hannity releases more bombshells by us4trump.com. The former corrupt Obama-era CIA Director John Brennan is a liar. All you have to do is look at his Twitter description. Brennan describes himself as a nonpartisan American. It's not rocket science to figure out this tweet is anything if not completely partisan. We remember Brennan's tweet, where Brennan was reacting to his swamp rat friends being held accountable for their actions, where Brennan was unhappy that McCabe was called to the table for nefarious behavior. Sean Hannity has exposed that Brennan voted for a Communist Party candidate, and Brennan is being investigated for his ties to the bought and paid for DNC phony dossier. When the full extent of your venality, moral turpitude, and political corruption becomes known, you will take your rightful place as a disgraced demagogue in the dustbin of history. You may scapegoat Andy McCabe, but you will not destroy America. America will triumph over you. His tweet to Donald Trump. Yeah, we'll see who winds up in the dustbin. Ex-CIA Director John Brennan is now exposed as a partisan player. Hannity first begins by pointing out that Brennan is now a guest speaker on CNN. Additionally, the rest of the leftist media simply parrots what he says. Clearly, Schiff's job is done, and now they have Brennan to do Schiff's dirty work. Also, President Trump has been 10 times harder on Putin than Obama was, Hannity railed. That's true. Hannity then points to some bombshell history about former CIA Director John Brennan. First, Brennan has admitted to voting for a Communist Party candidate. The New York Post article by journalist Paul Sperry. Second, the House Intel Committee is investigating Brennan. Additionally, they are investigating his ties to the Clinton bought and paid for dossier, Hannity said. Third, the New York Post also reported that Brennan may have committed perjury. John Brennan testified, just like McCabe, that he did not know anything about the dossier. Sperry said, in short, Brennan politicized raw intelligence. In fact, he politicized the entire CIA. Fourth, John Brennan briefed Harry Reid on the dossier. The bottom line is, as Hannity mentioned, the Democrats have been lying to Congress and the American people. In closing, Sean said the former CIA director is dirty, political, and corrupt as they come. And now he's lashing out because we are all finding out who he really is. That's it. And begin the video at the 11:55 mark, and I started it at about 10:40. Okay.
Comey knew he was leaking information to the media, which is in part why McCabe got fired, and then lying under oath also contributed. What McCabe is saying now is very different from what James Comey said back in May of 2017. Who do you believe, Comey or McCabe? We'll let you decide.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
Now you gotta wonder if Georgie Stephanopoulos over at ABC, Clinton's BFF, and the liberals on The View, and Stephen Colbert, and Fake Jake over at CNN Fake News and Rachel
Right.
Maddow. You think they're going to ask Mr. Deep State James Comey about any of this?
No.
We're not going to hold our breath. But James Comey's welcome on the show. Our invitation continues. Now, what is becoming more apparent by the day is how the Deep State is fighting back as they continue to get exposed. They're not liking what is now happening and what we are exposing on this show. The perfect example is former Obama CIA Director John Brennan. He is now trying to malign President Trump with a brand new conspiracy theory. Let's take a look.
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia. Why? Well, I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally, that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult. Clearly, I think it's important for us to be able to improve relations with Russia. But the fact that he has had this fawning attitude toward Mr. Putin has not said anything negative about him. I think continues to say to me that he does have something to fear.
Great. Now, he's a known liar, but the media just parrots Brennan's talking points. Let's look at this.
A former CIA director who's worked for presidents on both sides of the aisle is deeply concerned.
It's so clear at this point that Vladimir Putin and his associates, somebody has something on Donald Trump.
The big question we're asking today, why does this president feel the way he does about Vladimir Putin?
That may be something that turns the key in the Russia probe, is figuring out why this president is so deferential to Putin and to Russia, and if there is some sort of compromat that they have on him.
President Trump has been 50 times harder on Russia than Obama ever was. And he's about to take the legs out of Vladimir Putin's economy, and he's not whispering, "Oh, tell Vladimir after the election I'll have more flexibility."
Right.
Brennan is also threatening President Trump. Let's take a look at his tweet. When the full extent of your venality, moral turpitude, and political corruption becomes known, you will take your place as a disgraced demagogue in the dustbin of history. You may scapegoat Andy McCabe, but you will not destroy America. America will triumph over you. Okay, John Brennan, who voted for a communist for president, a deep state swamp rat, is losing his mind, and all of his friends now are being exposed. Here's a little Hannity history lesson on Brennan that the media won't tell you. As I said, he admitted to voting for, quote, a Communist Party candidate. How did you ever become the CIA director?
Right.
You have to wonder. And maybe Robert Mueller should see if he's ever colluded with the Russians. And that's not all. The New York Post has reported that the House Intel Committee is investigating John Brennan and his ties to the Clinton bought and paid for dossier. And the same committee is now looking into whether Brennan committed perjury when he testified under oath, like his buddy McCabe, because he claimed to have no idea who paid for that dossier. And the Post also reporting that John Brennan briefed members of Congress, including former Democratic Senator Harry Reid, about that phony dossier. And if you remember, Reid then put out a statement after meeting with Brennan days after or before the election and referenced the dossier because Brennan told him. So Brennan is dirty, political, and corrupt as they come, and now he's lashing out because we're all finding out who he really is.
Right.
We have even more breaking news to tell you about. The House Intel Committee has put an end to this Russia investigation, 14 months, and they will have a vote to release to the public, the Republican members' final report. And the House Intel Committee released a summary of the key findings today. Here are the highlights. After 14 months, interviews with over all these witnesses, the committee found no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. One, so the liberal media, all you Democrats, have been lying to the American people. James Clapper, number two, former Obama Director of National Intelligence, fake news CNN contributor, well, he provided inconsistent testimony about his contacts with the media. I guess Comey's going to get hired next, and then Brennan. And who knows, maybe they'll hire Stormy. And by the way, if members of the partisan press are watching, we first reported this last week. It's called investigative journalism, real news. You guys might want to try it sometime instead of spinning these woo conspiracy theories. And by the way, this wouldn't be the first time Clapper has lied to Congress. Back in May of 2013, let's watch Clapper lie. Take a look.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
Oh, Clapper was lying through his teeth right there. Well, that seems to be the standard operating procedure for all these Obama deep state actors. All right, point three. The committee found, House Intel Committee, zero evidence of President Trump's pre-campaign business dealings resulting in any kind of collusion. Point 4, they conclude, no evidence that Trump associates were involved with WikiLeaks publishing stolen Democratic emails. This is another liberal media fantasy that's getting shot down. By the way, with all the countries that hacked into Hillary's server, who knows who got those, who gave it to WikiLeaks? There's one of a dozen choices. Here's my prediction. Pretty easy to get this one right. The rest of the liberal media is not going to report this tonight because it proves them to be liars and phony in their quest for journalism and truth. This is all a disinformation campaign, and it's gone on way too long. Finally tonight, I know I'm going long, Sarah Carter, brand new news reporting, headline, Robert Mueller, Andrew Weissman, the FBI and the mob. Sarah detailing how both Mueller and Weissman are directly involved in two of the biggest scandals in FBI history. When Mueller was an acting U.S. attorney in Boston in the 80s, he was involved in the FBI's corrupt, highly unethical relationship with the infamous murderer, mobster Whitey Bulger. 4 men ended up being framed for murder, sent to jail. 2 of them died in jail. Then it resulted in over $100 million in damages to the 2 that lived. And then there's Mueller's pit bull, Andrew Weissman. The rotten apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. He's the guy in a 1990s organized crime case. Weissman was reprimanded by a judge for withholding exculpatory evidence. And his powerful friend, later were out there to get him out of trouble. We also told you about Weissman's hard-charging tactics. In the Enron case, tens of thousands of people lost their jobs at Anderson Accounting. 4 Merrill executives go to jail. That case was overturned, 9-0 against him. All of this information is shocking. That's Mueller's team. But given what we know about Mueller and his pit bull Weissman, it's now par for the course. This is a national disgrace what's happening.
Yes, absolutely. It is a national disgrace what is happening. Unbelievable. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.